morning. I'd like to welcome you to Daylight with Dean number 4, April 15th, 2020, tax day, except for this year. I'm coming to you from my kitchen and want to invite you to enjoy the daylight as it begins over my shoulder. Just really am grateful to be here with you this morning. A couple things just want to let you know. I have no timer, no clock in front of me. Try to keep the segment between 7 and 9 minutes. But it's all by feel. If I start getting bored with what I'm saying, I'll wrap it up. If I'm really passionate about it, I'll keep going. So thank you, everyone who's joining with me on this. I have friends watching in New Kensington. I've heard even some in Lower Burrell. Some of my good friends in South Carolina and Georgia as well. Welcome to my home. I'm also wearing my favorite Pittsburgh Pirate logo shirt. TJ Maxx special, about $10, I think. But wasn't planning on saying anything about this, but I've loved listening to Pirate games on the radio my entire life. You hear stories in Pittsburgh about the neighborhoods of people walking down the streets in the 50s and 60s and just hearing the Pirate game on every front porch that you could walk down the entire street and listen to the game being played. I grew up in the country, so had none of that. But I remember as an 11-year-old boy wanting a clock radio so bad for my 11th birthday. And my parents got it for me. And from then on out, every night in the summertime, going to bed, listening to the Pirate game. And through the good times and the bad, there's something about Pirate baseball on the radio in the summer evenings and the cool of the evening that is just magical to me. And missing that just a little bit. I was thinking about now that we're done with Easter at the river, we're going to be starting a new series of messages based on the book of Psalms. And I'm so excited about this series because the Psalms are some of my most formative and scriptures that I'm the most grateful for. I love the way that David, who wrote many of the Psalms, not all of them, the way he just lived his life out loud and raw and vulnerable and open. He wasn't afraid to bring his rage to God. He wasn't afraid to bring his praise to God. He really left nothing hidden from the Lord. And as we start this series of messages, we're going to be talking about living life authentically and just open. And I had a lady about 4 or 5 months ago, who used to come to the river, and she loved it. She loved it. And then she got reconnected with the church that she grew up in and was a part of, and has been loving the river from a distance, and maybe even will catch this on Facebook as she's a good Facebook friend. And we were visiting together one day, and she said, "You know what I loved about the river when I was there?" She said, "It was quite apparent that nobody there was trying to impress anyone." And that statement, let that sit in with you for just a minute. That could mean nobody gave a rip about what they looked like, what they smelled like, what they dressed like, what they, or it could mean that nobody was trying to impress anybody. That everybody was there was just being themselves, just being real, just being honest, just being open. And what I understood she was saying was there was an honesty about the river an authenticity about the river that made a deep impression on her. And I say all that not to promote the river, but to promote the notion of living our lives honest, really having nothing to hide, no facade to put out there for people to believe the better side of us. Now, we all do this on some level, but to the core of our being, are you honest about who you are and about your fears, about your hopes, about your dreams? There's this verse in Psalm 139, one of my favorite verses in all of Scripture that we'll be referring to Sunday in the message. King David is just praising God and taking inventory of what he's grateful for and how God's watchful eye has been over him throughout his life. And he comes to this one point where he says, I will praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Now let that soak in for just a little bit. David is saying, God, you didn't make a mistake when you created me, when you formed me, when you wired me up the way that I am. And I'm going to praise you for it. I'm going to be comfortable with the person that you created me to be. I'm going to stop trying to hide and pretend that I'm something else, something different. I love how one translation says, God, I will praise you because you have made me wonderfully complex. I love that notion because God has truly made all of us wonderfully and magnificently complex. I want to invite you today. Just take inventory of your day and your interactions with people. And note every time you're tempted to pretend something different than what's true and what's real. Now, there are social graces. There are, kindnesses that we do. We don't blurt out every thought that comes into our mind and just say, well, I'm just being honest. I'm just being open. I'm just being myself. No, there's grace and kindness and love and goodness and compassion that tempers and buffers and filters everything in our lives. But are you being honest about who you are and about who God created you to be? Because you are wonderfully complex. We've had a lot of fun talking about the mask, the respirator, the visor that I wear out in public these days for protection so I don't carry the virus to anyone else that I love and cherish when I go out grocery shopping during this heightened time of protection that we're supposed to be in. And people wonder, well, how do you do that? I don't really have something to hide that way. I don't try to be anything different than what I am or who I am. Sure, I have fun with it, but seriously, I wore my blue rain suit a week ago Monday because I was warned on the news and other places that the grocery stores were the most dangerous places to be that week. And so I needed to get groceries for my in-laws, for my neighbors that are in their 80s and 90s, for my daughter, my grandson, my son-in-law, for our home. And I thought, I don't have a hazmat suit, so I'm going to wear this. And it just is fine with me. I I wasn't trying to impress anybody. I was just trying to be safe and be careful and have a little bit of fun with it along the way. And I find that when we live life authentically, when we live life honestly, that it encourages others to be honest about themselves, their fears, their hopes, their dreams, their lives. And I love the way so many that are on this journey with me are just committed to not trying to impress anybody, not trying to be something different, but they're celebrating the fact that they have been, by their Creator, fearfully and wonderfully made. Amen. I hope you guys have a great day today. Enjoy the sunshine this morning, and God bless you.